vlogsters. I forgot to get coffee. I miss you guys. It's so weird to have life go by so quickly. It's so busy and I'm still like just trying to get it all done. But now that Thanksgiving is over and my family has visited and I'm done crying because they left, I can get back to it. For those of you who have reached out and have talked also about being far away from their families during the holiday season and know how difficult it is, my heart is definitely with you. Including my family. I don't know if they miss me as much as I miss them, because many of them have each other, which is different, obviously. But just breathe. You'll get through it. I'm so grateful that I did the gratitude project on Instagram. I know many of the gratitude days got shared to Facebook, but not all of them because of one algorithm or another. I don't really know why, to be honest with you. It wasn't letting me share anything that had a video in it. I don't know why, but anyhow, I'm so grateful for doing that. I know it sounds silly to grateful for doing a gratitude project, but I really, truly am. It really reminds you of there is always something to be grateful for. And I truly do feel that way on a regular basis. You know, I no longer have to worry about where my next meal is going to come from, or worry about if I'm going to have enough gas money to get Jim to work, or worrying about, you know, just the things. Am I going to have medicine? Am I going to have medical insurance? All that stuff. It really takes it out of you emotionally. And I've always felt grateful for all that I do have. You know, I sound like a broken record sometimes, and actually it was sort of a running joke when I worked at the nursery school, because I used to start a lot of stories that were, we were poor when we were growing up, or we were so poor when we were growing up, and then I would fill in whatever the conversation was for the day. But it was true. It was true. Like, and we were so blessed compared to like how my mom was when she grew up. So we knew perspective when we were going through it. She kept us very grounded that way. But my sisters were here, and we did a lot of really good, deep, soul-searching talks. And, you know, it's just, it reminded me of that we did have some hard times. But it also reminded me that we also had some really good times. You know, it's your choice to choose what to focus your energy on. When you forgive, you have to do it from deep within your soul. You have to forgive yourself as well as forgive whoever has wronged you. You have to ask for forgiveness from yourself as well as anybody you have wronged. And it's really important to know that, because if you don't forgive yourself or ask for forgiveness from yourself, you can really hold on to that forever, really. It's important that you do I guess one of the things that I learned, and I'm sorry just to like end a thought right there, because this just popped into my head to replace what I was going to say. You do decide, and you your children will decide for themselves, and your parents have decided for themselves what you want to focus your heart on. So one of the things that we discussed was how one of my siblings was, when we were growing up, was feeling like less loved than the rest of us. And, you know, I could sit here and I can name, like, and list you. I can list you top to bottom things that I felt that I got less of than another sibling, or less attention, or less love, or another time where they felt like they were rewarded for something that I was ignored for, or whatever. I mean, I really could. It's just not where I choose to put my energy. My other, one of the things we also talked about was that my parents really did the best that they could. My father, though his parents were married the entire time till his mom died, they, from what he says, didn't seem to really get along. Like, he was an only child. I don't know that they tried to have more kids or didn't try to have more kids. We don't know the story. But he had gambling problems, and she worked really hard, and he worked really hard, and it was really like work focus. And my dad, being a boy and being an only child, was like, well, did you get to see all the aspects of love? He didn't know what it was like to have siblings. His cousins lived quite far away that he would spend the summers with, but really not on a regular basis. And then my mom, her dad left when she was really little, and she watched her family just struggle. Like, her mom just, like, struggled. And I don't know that she knew, I don't know how she felt growing up. I know a couple of things she shared with us, but we don't know, like, the full extent of how the way she was parented affected the way she parented, if that makes any sense. So it is true. She did the very best she could. And I said, you know, there are certain things we could be resentful for. We could be resentful for many things. I actually said there was just one thing that I think that if I had my parents here as an adult, I would have probably addressed with them as I felt significant, because I was always obese. I was a fat baby. I was a fat toddler. I was a fat child. But we were malnutritioned. We really were. Nutrition isn't just about calories and how much weight you gain on it. It's about having vitamins and nutritious food. So we didn't have nutritious food. We didn't have vegetables, you know. If we did, rarely they came out of a can. Like, you know, peas. Peas and corn. Which, you know, now are now in the starch family, not in the vegetable family. My dad grew tomatoes, which is a fruit. Again, not in the vegetable category. But, you know, like, they did the best they could, obviously. But we really did, you know, we kind of joke about it, that we used to have peanut butter and jelly and no bread, or bread and no peanut butter and jelly. We had cereal and no milk, milk and no cereal. And the thing I think that I find that if I could talk to them as adults, I would ask them then, why did they continue to buy their cigarettes every week? So my parents both smoked. My grandmother smoked as well. And we were going hungry. They had 6 kids, 7 at one point, because there was 5 of us, and then they took in my cousins. But they had 6 kids, and by the time they had the 6 kids, they were adults. Like, my When my little brother was born, I was 12, but my sisters were 15, 16, and 17. My brother was 22. So they were like adults, or, you know, at least grown teenage people in the house. And it was sort of like, I don't resent them for it, but I am curious how they justified it at the time, I guess. And cigarettes were cheaper then, but still, if you had, you know, if you had $10 a week for cigarettes, why wasn't it $10 a week in bologna and bread? Or, if you know what I mean. So they were, we talk about this a lot, they were not prideful in the way that is, I think, is bad, the bad pride, but they had that value, what they felt like self-pride, that they didn't ask for any government assistance. My father made practically nothing. My mother worked as a bartender and a taxi driver, and she just hustled all the time. They had 6 kids at home. Like I said, at one point there were 7. And they never asked for assistance from the government. And I know that people think, well, that's really good that they never did that. However, we suffered for it. You know, we suffered for it. If they would have gotten free milk, perhaps the milk money could have went to other things, vegetables, perhaps. If they would have asked the school system for assistance, I could have gotten free lunch. You know, I often talk about that. I used to exaggerate a story by saying I used to get my lunch out of the garbage. So I used to exaggerate a story that was an impact statement to bring home a point. When I was in elementary school, the lunch aides would collect people's lunch. So if a child was fortunate enough to have a bagged lunch and money, and they decided they didn't want their bagged lunch, the first couple of weeks, they would, you know, like kids would throw their whole lunches away. So the lunch aides would take out the brown paper bags and then take the stuff out of the brown paper bags and check it, see if it was okay, you know, if there was nothing wrong with it. They would place it on the windowsill. But after a couple of weeks, the kids would realize that if they didn't want their lunch, they just placed it on the windowsill. Of course, the lunch aides would share that information. So that is primarily where I got my school lunches for all of my elementary days. When my grandmother was alive, she lived with us, my nan. She lived with me till I was 12, till I just started 7th grade. Actually, she died right before 7th grade started. I think like a few days before 7th grade started. She used to collect Kennedy half dollars, which, you know, like are 50-cent pieces. Whenever she'd see them for change or somebody would get them, they'd bring it to her, whatever, because she knew like that would be money, but money she wouldn't spend on a regular basis just for nothing. So a lot of times when times were really hard, she would send me down to a little deli down the block with 2 50-cent pieces, and we'd be able to get like a pound of bologna or half a pound of bologna and like 5 rolls or 10 rolls, depending on the time. And she would make sandwiches for everybody. But when it was like, you know, we had nothing for breakfast, and then I knew I wasn't going to have anything for lunch, if she was awake, I would ask her. She would give me a 50-cent piece. And for 50 cents, the only thing I could really afford to buy was milk and cookies. And then later on, the lunch aides in the wintertime would have like a big coffee urn full of hot water, and they would do cup of soup. And cup of soup was 25 cents. So I'd be able to get cup of soup and milk. But you know, there's no nutritional value in cup of soup. But this is what we know now as adults, you know. So I think that would be the question I would ask them as adults, is how did you justify, you know, smoking when not only was the smoking like, you know, I couldn't breathe. My sisters couldn't breathe. I had an allergic nose. I was diagnosed an allergic nose when I was like 6 or 7. So I'm not asking why they quit, but like, you know, it was just like chimneys in my house. When I got married, My father quit smoking. Wait, all right, let's go back. I was 15 when we painted the living room blue. My sister painted the living room blue. No, that's not right. It was after that. I think I was 20, maybe 22 when we painted the living room ivory. That's what it was. Like tan, like beige, but really like eggshell, like really ivory. And my father quit smoking when I was 28. And of course I had an open concept home, like I had a 6/6, and basically the only thing that divided the kitchen from the dining room was a pony wall, and the dining room opened up to the living room. The only thing that separated the living room from the kitchen was like a 6-foot section of wall. So it was sort of an open concept, and you know, he cooked everything. So but when I got married in 2000, he washed the walls, and years of like grease and nicotine just poured off, and it was sort of like an awakening for him. But it was so after the fact. But I appreciate when anybody learns anything at any time. And I appreciate how apologetic he was in his heart. Even though if he didn't say, I'm sorry, you could see that he felt really bad. I didn't want him to feel bad. I would just like people to learn. And trust me, as a person who is addicted to carbohydrates, I know how hard it is to quit a vice. But I've also tried, or I do on a daily basis, not even try, I succeed on a daily basis to drastically reduce the amount of carbohydrates I take in. This wasn't going to be a crying vlog. But anyway, this all comes back to the gratitude project, and I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity, to either start the new year or start today. Today, there's no reason it can't start today. Start today or start in the new year a gratitude journal. I know I'm going to. It's just going to give you a way to put your hands on and make your mind search for something to be grateful every day. And don't chicken out and just say, I'm grateful that I'm 6 feet above ground or whatever. Or, you know what I mean? I'm on this side of the grass. Because that is something to be grateful for every day. The cemetery is full of people that are not here with us that would happily probably be back here. But I want you to really just think about something in the day that you could be thankful for. A meal, a friend, a call, a lesson learned on your favorite TV show, something. You know, I feel like there's got to always be something. If you're a person with chronic illness or in chronic pain, you know, just the fact that you were able to get off the couch or get out of bed or take a shower. These are things that so many people take for granted. And the whole point of a gratitude journal is to be grateful, to remind yourself how grateful you are for the little things that you don't actually vocalize on a daily basis. So that is that. I'm sorry. It was going to be a short vlog, and it ended up being one full of tears. Didn't want it to be full of tears. I didn't want it to be very long, so. But I wanted to just jump on here and say hi. I miss you guys. And somebody asked me yesterday if I'll be doing Vlogmas, and I won't be doing Vlogmas. I guess you kind of know that already because I haven't started it. But there is just I just don't have time, unfortunately. So, thank you all. I really do appreciate everything that each and every one of you do for me, or do, yeah, by being here, or giving me a thumbs up, or giving me a beautiful comment down below, or whatever it is. I do appreciate every single one of you, and I'm grateful for you. And don't worry, I won't chicken out and say that every day, because I could definitely say I was grateful for each and every one of you every single day. But that's everything. So as always, you guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.